Hey everyone, on today's episode, we are talking all about hiring a sales team, what led us to do it, some of the pitfalls that we went through, and how it's going now. Check it out. Hey everybody, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan Shinholzer.
I'm Chris Livingston.
And I'm Tyler Appleby.
So there's actually three of us today. And also, guys, make sure, Chris, with your mic, just go a little bit back.
He told me to be this close.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, guys, as you can see, we're all about speed over perfection, making it happen quickly. Today's call, what we're doing is we're talking to Tyler, who's actually, he's a sales specialist with us. Tyler's role is to, if you've gone through our sales process, the way that it works is you don't directly, essentially, it's going to sound shitty the way that I say it, but like, can't get a hold of me. You talk to Chris, but the way to get to Chris, who's the one that will actually facilitate it, you're going to talk to either Tyler, John, or Jeremy at the time of this recording. And Tyler's on here. And essentially what we're talking about today is what is it like to sell? Because we see a lot of contractors that are saying like, I'm hiring a sales guy. What do I do? What's my role? What should I pay them? What's my KPIs? And essentially what happens is a lot of people bring on salesmen realistically before they should, because they're asking all these questions about like, well, what should I do? How, what should I have? What's their role? All this stuff. And I'm all about, doing stuff a little bit early, but like they're bringing somebody on with literally no direction. They themselves don't know how to sell. So they bring in a salesman hoping like hell that the salesman can do it. But because they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to train this salesman to adapt to their style. And it typically does not work out. So
are you cool with like talking about how our process worked? How, when you decided, hey, I need a salesman for my team and how that worked?
Yeah. So to give a backstory on all this, what I see a lot of times in the contracting space is somebody will bring in a new salesman or a team of salesmen. And what they'll say is, well, this person has a lot of experience in sales. What I've kind of found, looking at what lifetime salesmen, career salesmen do, most of them suck at selling. Like they're actually not good. They were just set up in a position where they were selling for a large company and it made it a lot easier. So they weren't really salesmen. They were more just basic relationship managers. And I've even talked to a couple of people where like the way that their sales commission structure set up is they have a very large base salary with a small commission structure. So essentially what that does is that creates security for the salesman, but doesn't really drive much hunger because most of their money is made in the base, not in the commission. So it's a huge downfall. And then when these salesmen who have been like, oh yeah, I've been a really good salesman for Kodak, and the only reason I'm not with them anymore is because Kodak has gone downhill because nobody buys the cameras anymore. Well, what we really find out is that you were a really good order taker with Kodak, and you were good because there was a huge brand that was set up and people knew what Kodak did. They knew what they were all about. They understood that side of things. But when they step into a small business, unless the business has that much clout or that much brand awareness in the area, it's not really going to be the same. So the salesman comes in and the contractor says, I want you to sell this stuff. Let's say it's patios, right? Well, the contractor doesn't have any brand equity in the area, so people don't really know what they're all about. So there's no way to stand out as a salesman unless you're a good salesman, which most of these people are not. So that's the backstory of what I see a lot with contractors. Where they hire people too soon, or because they don't know how to sell, they can't train somebody on the sales process, or they bring in somebody that says they're really good at selling and that person is either A, not good at selling, or B, unwilling to change up how they sell because, well, this worked for Kodak for 20 years. Well, yeah, bro, like you went out of business though. Like if you were really that good, Kodak would still be around, but it's not.
So what does a good salesman or salesperson mean? Because I'm hearing a lot of what they're not, but I guess in your mind, what does a good salesperson bring to the table?
Hungry and coachable.
I totally agree, because I think that a lot of times people are asking people, what have you done in the past, right? And that's backwards thinking. You're looking back at the past. I think it's all about habits and all about mindset.
Tyler, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're in this position. What does it take to succeed in your role?
I have to agree with you there, especially on the coachable part, because the only reason I got to where I am now is because of your guys' coaching and the way you guys put me through the training, because beforehand I had done maybe another sales job before this, but they didn't really do that. I was coachable, but they didn't take the steps to help me get to where I need to be. And so being coachable has really gotten me from having a minute conversation up to 15-minute conversations now.
What do you mean by that, minute versus 15-minute?
Well, it's just like with contractors who can't handle objections. They don't want your patio, and so it's like, okay, bye. It's the same thing for over here. If somebody's like, I don't want your service, it's like, okay, well, what's the reasoning? And that's going to turn it into that 15-minute conversation rather than, okay, sorry for bothering you, I'll leave you alone.
So it's more of like the confidence to be able to challenge someone when they immediately shut you down, when they have no idea what it, like, if they go through the whole sales process and at the end they say, yeah, I don't think this is it for me. Well, at least they went through it. And I at least respect people that do that. Where like, we've had people where like they put $1,000 down and then they think about it for a few days and they're like, you know what? I don't think so. And I'm like, look, at least you put the money down. I appreciate you at least doing that. I'm good with your decision. Good luck. But most people just shut you down because they don't want that. So the coachability and the hunger side of things, that's when we, to kind of go back to Chris's question of hiring, like, how did you decide that this is what you needed, Logan? As a lot of you guys know, I'm in this mastermind group. And essentially I was like, okay, cool. Like, I know the next step for me is to hire a sales team, because what's happening right now is I'm very, very confident in my sales ability in the sense of being good at knowing what to say over the phone. If we have a conversation, I can press the envelope pretty well. I'm confident in that. What I'm not so confident in was the entire sales process. And what I mean by that is in our world, and actually in your world as well, but I just referred it to my world. A lot of what was happening was I was not doing the proper follow-ups with people, right? A lot of people, they come in and let's say like in your world as a contractor, if you're telling somebody, yeah, to paint this house, it's $20,000 and they're thinking $5,000, well, either they go to somebody else or they do nothing. Well, most people end up actually doing nothing. They don't move forward with anybody. But if you just let them fall off the face of the earth and you don't ever reach back out to them, they're not going to call you back and go, hey, this is Jeff again. Talked to you last year. I got the 20 grand. You have to stay on top of them. Well, that's when I was like, that's what we need, because there's a lot of people that want what we have. But the issue is that I just rely too much on marketing and email marketing and stuff like that I'm like, well, I'll just put them on the email list and I'll just let them come back to me when they're ready. Well, that will work. However, they may come back in 2 years versus if we have a sales team whose job is to reach back out. Hey, how's it going? Like the touch and base, like what's it been like over the past couple months? Well, I can take that 2-year process and push it down to maybe 4 months because of the personal touch of having people whose role it is to do this exact thing. So that was the mindset behind why do I want to hire a sales team? And there was so much stuff falling through the cracks where we were getting all these, let's say, pitches, if we think about a baseball analogy, all these pitches, and I would swing at a pitch one time, and because I wouldn't hit a home run, I would go, nah, all right, next one. Versus having a sales team where it's almost like they never strike out until the person says, no, stop calling. They can continuously keep swinging and swinging and swinging. Maybe they hit a home run and do the full sale, or maybe we just get them on like one of their smaller end products, which is a single. But singles lead to home runs. So to have a team that's able to do this has been huge for us.
I think that one huge part in like the development is the idea of having a system first to hiring a sales team. I think there's back and forth on that. I think there's the idea of you don't have to have everything together, right? You don't have to have everything together, but you have to have some type of system and some type of layout, what that looks like. Very much in our situation, right? Like we've changed so much as far as how we reach out to people, what our follow-up looks like. All that stuff came through saying, hey, we know we have a need for sales. I mean, I remember the conversation. All right, there's 3 parts of business. You got marketing, sales, and fulfillment. All right, so where's the problem at right now? And we realized that there was an issue in the sales part. We got the, if we want to be able to grow the way we want to grow, we got to put people in that spot to sell. So it wasn't like we had everything worked out in the sense of where we are right now, but we had a system in place with the intent of understanding that, hey, if I want to get to where I want to go, I got to sell more. And from a one person perspective, I cannot do that. So I remember very beginning of this, the genesis of it all, we were doing shooting Loom videos for people. We're hopping on people's websites, showing them like, hey, there's a lot of factors here that you're not even thinking about on your website.
And just to give a little 2 cents, this is Chris explaining how we went about trying to acquire, new, like how we went about prospecting. We've evolved heavily since day one, but this is essentially how we did it from day one. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So pretty much we're shooting Loom videos. And for anyone who doesn't know what a Loom video is, that's just a video in a video kind of a share screen video.
What we would do is we would share, we would record our computer screen and a video of our face in the corner. It's a software that we use. And essentially what we could do is go on somebody else's website and say, hey, you don't know who I am, but I'm looking at your website and there's a couple things that I see are off, specifically this thing and this thing. Let me show you a quick video on one of the websites that we do. And if this piques your interest, give us a call.
Exactly. So we used to shoot those videos.
How effective was that though at the beginning?
I hate to say it, but it was not effective.
We found out one way how not to do. I mean, are they
Yeah.
effective? Yes, but the time it took to record one of those, send it out, and the response was minimal because it just essentially we were selling the wrong thing. We were selling like, hey, your kitchen's unattractive. I'm going to sell you a new kitchen. Instead of saying, hey, you don't spend enough time with your family. Let me talk to you about how we can make that happen. So we were selling the wrong thing. That's why, Matt, your stuff now, Tyler. Let's say you cold call someone. What do you say? Like, what is your 30-second commercial?
I just use stories that I've heard from all the calls that I've made. A lot of contractors spend a lot of time wasting time on home advisor leads, or like you said, not spending time with their family because they're up late at night writing up these estimates and then maybe pushing out the estimate, then they have to drop it, or they never even get a call back.
So that's what we were trying to sell, something different than that, because that's the emotion. That's what people want. They just look at our website and go, that's a nice website, but do I really want to reach out to somebody to get sold to when I already have my own website? It's not as good as that one, but mine's still good enough.
And you got to think about this too. Like, even this happened just yesterday. Somebody who knows us pretty well was like, wow, it's not just a website. Like, this is an entire sales tool. This is entire transformation for my business. This is entire something I can leverage in all ways to help my selling process, my marketing process. And now I can have a streamlined situation from browsers to buyers. So it was very much, hey, we have to change. All right. So the Loom videos were not it. And we realized, hey, when we started out cold calls, right? Cold calls, people listen to this stuff. I'm sure you guys probably have
Chris, what's the most common way that a telemarketer is going to reach out? Like when they call you, how does it sound?
Hey, how you doing, Rick? It's you having a good day, or how's things going?
Which, if you hear that instantaneously, Tyler, if somebody called you and you heard that, what would you think?
I'd hang up right away.
Yeah,
hang up right away,
because it's not genuine. And first of all, hey, Rick, I don't really know you. I'm not that excited to talk to you in this fake voice. What it is like, that's why we put up very front, like, hey, Rick, I'm gonna be straight up with you. This is actually a cold call. Would you like to take 30 seconds of your time, or would you like to hang up with me? So it's pretty upfront in that way. But we had to learn that. You used to call me Mickey Mouse voice for some time because I was very much in that idea of, hey, Rick, how you doing? Right. So I think that understanding that that the process is going to come, you may have to, go ahead and start it. You may have to work out the kinks later on, but be willing to be a business person and actually try, fail. Okay, those 3 things don't work. Those 3 things have this in common. This is the problem, and I need to start veering this way. So go ahead.
I was going to ask, so when you're talking about ironing out the kinks, Tyler, for you, what were some of the kinks? Because I mean, like you came into this, you had a little bit of sales experience, but I mean, you've essentially, I mean, we'll just talk about your transformation. You've been here for about 3.5 months now.
Mhm.
Where were you sales wise and mentally 3.5 months ago, and where are you at now, sales wise and mentally?
So whenever I first started out, I'll agree with Chris there. I was definitely that Mickey Mouse voice. I was just, I felt like I needed to do anything to present energy to just to get them to talk to me.
Yeah, why is that? Like, talk about the energy side, because like Chris and I, like, I mean, for us, candidly, I think energy is easier to get out of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when, I mean, shit, if you've listened to this podcast, you've heard us get pretty fired up. So it's easy for us, but for you, what's that like?
So for me, it's a lot different because I'm naturally a very monotone person. I'm very chilled and relaxed. And so for me, whenever I first started, it was fake. It was because I had never done that high energy before just to talk to somebody. And so that was definitely probably the hardest part to learn, is adapting it to my style, but keeping it that fit CGN. And so that was definitely the hardest. And then, like I said earlier, the objection handling was really tough at first too. But now, because I have done so many calls now, especially with the bridge helping me out, I have figured out how to present my energy in my way, and it still relates to them to where they are reflecting it back now. But it's not fake. This is real energy. I'm really excited about working with them and talking to them now. And the objection handling is just way better now. It's just, people who don't understand the value or don't see it quite yet, it's just like, okay, that's totally fine. Let me show you.
So what was your experience like? So when he says the bridge, he means the Contractor Sales Academy bridge, which, that's something, guys, that if you're a contractor and you're not in it, I mean, we put our own salespeople in it because for us, I mean, who better to practice selling to and do role plays with than contractors that we know we can potentially help. So it's like you're practicing with your ideal customer. And the issue is a lot of contractors say, oh, I do a lot of this stuff. I don't need to practice. I just talk to customers all the time. And it's like, yeah, but customers are not going to give you honest feedback. Yeah. You're not going to say like, oh, how did the sales process go? Great. What would you have me do differently next time to actually get the sale? You can't do that with homeowners. Maybe you can, but like, they're not always going to, oh no, you were great. It was just, a little bit too much money or a little more than we wanted to spend. But with contractors and these role plays or people with these role plays, you can say, okay, you're saying it's too much money. What could I have said differently? What could I have talked about that would have gotten you over that hump to get you to understand that, yes, I'm 50% more than somebody else. However, the other person, I know them personally, they suck. And you're going to get wrecked if you work with them. But I can't say that because you can't say that, like, oh yeah, if you want to go with somebody else, it's fine. But like, you're going to totally get screwed like that. It's not going to bode well.
I also, just to kind of throw this out there too, if you believe that you're good at sales, I feel like you feel like there's no opportunity for you to grow. If you believe you're good at sales and you're not actively teaching other people how to sell, you're probably not good at sales. Like there's this other side of the mountain that I think people would have no idea about.
What do you mean?
Like the idea is, hey, I'm good at sales. Oh, I got it. Okay, you've been formally trained? Oh, no, I haven't. Okay, how are you practicing? No, I'm not. Oh, I'm good at sales.
No, yeah.
There's another side of the mountain that just makes things so much easier for you, so that you don't get frustrated when someone says anything about pricing. You don't get frustrated when someone, asks to do things differently than you're used to doing them. Like you don't get frustrated because you just recognize, hey, that's objection handling. That's setting upfront expectations. I don't get frustrated with people not, showing up to my calls because why? Because there's micro commitments involved in it. So those little small things that bode so much potential in your ability to sell is on the other side of the mountain. The idea of reframing stuff, the idea of using analogies, the idea of using mirrors and labels. Like if you think you're good at sales, you have to recognize there's another side of the mountain that is probably, I don't know, just out of your sight and you have no idea about it at all. So
I honestly don't even think it's a mountain. I think it's got to be something greater than the mountain, because you could be really good at sales, You could be one of the top salesmen in the world, but there's still opportunity for you to learn something new every single day.
This is something. So I was talking to Mike about this yesterday, one of the media guys, and
Shout out, Mike.
shout out to Mike. We call him 25 pull up Mike.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys figure out why. So we were talking last night, and one of the things that here, whenever contractors come to us and say, I need more leads, because I got another buddy of mine, he may or may not even be listening to this podcast, but he does roofing marketing.
Shout out, Brad.
Shout out to Brad. We call him 24 pull up Brad.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys figure out why. And with him, he's like, dude, all roofers they just want more leads. They don't, that's all they care about is leads. I was like, like that's what a lot of people think that they need, but in reality, they actually just need more sales. They need more revenue. Well, for the people that come to us, because we're good at selling for the most part, we're solid. We can help. We can take that, I need more leads, and turn that conversation and kind of walk them through the path into them realizing, well, maybe they don't need more leads. Maybe what they need is actually more sales. And to get more sales, do you want to get 100 leads for every one sale? Or would you rather get maybe 3 leads to 1 sale? And most people are going to say, oh, well, the latter, right? Because as an owner operator, if you're listening to this, you most likely don't have tons of time to spend. You get the, you get the 1 lead, you get the 1 sale, but you wasted 99 people times however long that is. That's a lot.
Let me give you a story that I talked to yesterday. I'm not going to mention his name.
But, well, if you don't mind, I'm going to just finish this piece and then jump into your story.
I apologize.
Cool. Thank you. I do like, this is what I appreciate though, that Chris is very passionate about this stuff. So essentially what we're good at is somebody comes in with leads. I have the confidence, you guys have the confidence where if you really think it's leads and it's not a sales problem, let's do a sales role play right now. And I want you to sell me on your stuff because we can outsell most contractors on their own work. So for us, we have that upper hand where trust me, I'm good at sales. I just need more leads. Great. Let's do a sales call right now. Oh, well, tell me the whole backstory. Are you a referral? Are you this? Okay, well, yeah, I'm just a random lead from the internet. Oh, I'm not really good with those. I'm good at referrals. I'm like, and as you get through it, you realize you're not actually good at selling. You're good at just being present and using a paper and pen and order taking. Exactly. So with Brad, I'm like, dude, like if you get really good at sales and these roofers come to you and say, hey, I got a sales problem. I got a leads problem. I need more leads. If you were able to essentially say, well, let's talk about your sales process, and you felt confident in knowing their sales process and being better than them, then you won't have this issue of people saying, well, it's leads, it's not sales, because you would know how to essentially take what they're saying or, flip it and put it back on them and say, okay, if you think you're so good at sales, let's talk about sales right now. And then that's the benefit that we have, is that because we are so sales focused that we can outsell most contractors at their own work, that they realize like, oh, maybe it's not a leads problem. Maybe it is a sales process problem, which is why back in October, we completely flipped what it is that we offer to contractors, where it's not just website. It's great. Now that you got the website that pre-qualifies and generates the lead, now how do you actually sell? And that's where we brought in the other aspect of, now we make sure you know how to sell. So it really is a full-on marketing and sales system wrapped up into one.
So I appreciate that, because I not only did it really develop, I guess, the conversation, but you recognize that it is a process. It's a sales process. And part of that process is putting out, if you have to do estimates, part of that process is that. I talked yesterday to a guy and I said, how long does the estimate take you? He said about an hour long.
And is that an estimate to write up the proposal, or just to like actually walk through someone's house with them?
No, this is to write the proposal.
Oh, okay.
So this is saying, hey, I'm writing this up. So it takes an hour long. All right. So he had 10 people that he knew that he needed to write estimates for. It was 3:00 in the afternoon yesterday. And I was like, okay, well, what's going on? I told him a story I had heard about, someone else, I'll just say his name, Frank. Frank pretty much saying, hey, I got these proposals on my desk. I know I need to send them out to people, but I just have not, just because of the fear of them telling me no. But right now it's kind of a yes, because they haven't said anything. It's also the daunting task of actually having to write the proposal up. So he said he had 10 of those things and about an hour to take on each one of them. And I was like, dude, that's crazy.
Do you know why they take an hour each?
candidly, I do not know.
So do you know why, Tyler?
Don't have a clue.
So what most contractors think is that you as the homeowner, whatever objections you have, because people say, oh, they just got to trust me. And the way that they justify their trust of you should trust me is I'm going to itemize the shit out of this proposal.
So you know exactly what's,
So what they think is happening is, I didn't address any of your concerns. I had a really good podcast with this guy, Anthony Iannarino. He's a sales consultant, big time sales guy. He was on our podcast and he was like, most people, especially in the contracting world, they don't address any concerns with the homeowner. What they do is they just write up a proposal and send it out and just assume that any areas of concern, the proposal is going to take care of that. And they think the only concerns are, what are you charging me for this stuff? So that's why they break it down. But in reality, that's not the issue at all. But most contractors think that, if I detail this very heavily, then this person will trust me, will see what I'm charging, and they will hire me. So he's taking an hour per person. But the issue is that because I'm guessing with this, most contractors do not follow up.
One thing that just kind of sounds so counterintuitive, if contractors hate being nitpicked on stuff, but they're throwing it out there to people to be nitpicked, it's now fulfilling that idea.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's so true though. Like, why would you ask me to break down my price, or why would you ask me all about this stuff? But they're literally opening Pandora's box for it.
Well, that's one of the things I learned too, is the beginning, making assumptions. And so that's what they're doing. They're making assumptions that these homeowners are going to be nitpicking. But you can't do that because that's probably the most dangerous thing you can do.
So yeah, with the nitpicking, that's essentially like, I'm a big manifestation person. So it's like whatever you're putting out there, you're going to attract that. Audrey, my girlfriend, she always talks about how bad of luck she has with airports and how it's always delayed. And she always goes, oh, I know this flight's going to be delayed. And guess what happens most of the time? It's delayed. We all went to Croatia a couple summers ago. Only one person had their luggage lost. Guess who it was?
Not me.
It wasn't Chris, because Chris brought it all in like
in a trash
literally,
bag.
like in a Harris, like a Kroger bag. Chris rolls up to Yacht Week with it. She's out in California right now. She's talking about her bad luck when it comes to traveling. Well, guess what happens when she flies out to California? Her bag flies to Denver. So
the crazy thing is, I've never had that happen to me.
I've had luggage lost one time, like 18 years ago, before I knew all about mindset. No, I wasn't because of that. But it just doesn't happen. But like, it's a big manifestation thing. So with a lot of homeowners, that's why we're so big on the whole idea of like, if you're going to DIY your stuff, you're most likely going to attract DIYers.
So when you're putting out these, I can kind of go on and on about that whole idea of estimates, but to kind of get back to that point was he had 10 estimates that he needed to put out there. And it was a daunting thing. It was around 3:00 in the afternoon yesterday. I said, dude, why don't you just do this? Why don't you just go ahead and call all 10 of them? Because realistically, it's 3:00 right now. You could probably get 3 done today, right? So you can still spend time with your family, probably get 3 done. Why don't you just call all 10 of them? That takes, 15, 20 minutes. And go ahead and say to them, hey, just want to touch base with you. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a full estimate. But just so you guys know, this is the ballpark of what we're thinking on that price. And then just shutting up and getting an understanding of if that's even something they want to talk about. Why would you spend time drawing up estimates for people that you already know are going to say no? Or this is way out of budget for them, or there's no opportunity at all for you. So I'm like, you do 3 today. You call all 10 first. You do 3 today. If you don't get a hold of anybody, you just, hey, first name, this is Chris from, whoever, remodeling company. Just reaching out to you. Just wanted to have a quick conversation with you about your project and hopefully give you a quick ballpark estimate so that he didn't have to do all 10. So it just didn't make any sense for me for people you're spending an hour at a time with people that very well may have no interest at all working with you.
Well,
and
that's an hour on the proposal.
Yeah.
Not even talking about the estimate. And and I bet if all 10 people answered, half of them would say, wow, that's way too much money. Don't even bother. And maybe the other half are going to go, well, that's a lot of money. Could you do a detailed estimate? Well, at least now, if you're still going to go down that path, at least you're only doing 5.
Yep.
Versus the other 10, the other 5 where it's, it's just, you're stuck. You have to do all this stuff. And it sucks when you have to do all that.
And when it's daunting and there's 10 hours worth of work to do, and you're like, screw this, I really don't want to do them. So then you have more time that goes by. So more and more the sale is dead because of the fact that, time kills sales. And it's just ridiculous. From the homeowner's perspective, we all just want to know what the hell is going on. We don't have to be nitpicky on every single thing, but we want to just be informed on what this stuff looks like. Right now, when someone goes forward with a website from us, the next step is, hey, I'm going to shoot you over an email. CC'd on that email is going to be Melissa, and she's going to set up a time for you guys for a kickoff call. If you went forward with us and you just put down $10,800 and you didn't hear from me in 2 weeks from time, which you may not because of the fact that Melissa scheduling a kickoff call with you, if there was no communication there, then you'd be like, what's going on? I just spent all this money. I have no idea what's going on. So the fact is, like, you got to just have a system, and your process has got to work with it as well. So,
Tyler, are you a car guy at all?
Car?
Car.
I love cars, yes.
Okay. So when I bought my Hyundai, sitting next to me, like the next person over was, it was a family. It was a guy with like his younger son. I think he was buying it for his son, but he spent a couple hours just berating this salesman, going, well, I want to see every single thing that you're charging us for. Well, you see this line item right there? What does this one mean? Tell me what this $500 is for. So essentially, he was trying to whittle it down because he thought he was getting screwed. Well, the guy was kind of a piece of shit, to be honest. For you, Tyler, you're a car guy. How many times do you think people go into a Lamborghini dealership and have the salesman break everything down and they argue over every point?
Very rarely.
What do you think Lamborghini would say?
If you don't want it, if you're going to nitpick, buy.
Yeah, don't bother. And that's what the issue with a lot of us are, guys, is that, we all talk, oh, I don't want to be the Lamborghini. I just, but I want to be a little bit higher. Like, that's the issue, is that you're being, you're approaching people and they look at you as like the Saturn or the Yugo or the 1996 Honda Civic.
Don't you say it?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
So
we all know what he's talking
about.
Yeah.
So you're that's how people view you. So that's why they want to nitpick all this stuff. But if you have this high end, it doesn't have to be Lambo status. Like, that's like a $700,000 car. Like, that's a whole different world of people. But there's a reason that a lot of you guys are listening to this. You get nitpicked. Hey, can you break that down? I have never been asked. I've probably been asked like once. I'm not gonna say never because I'm sure it's happened. But nobody ever says.
What happens when someone asks us, can you send over, what do they ask for? Can you send over an invoice?
Can you send over well, there's two different things. If somebody says, can you send over a proposal? I say, what are you looking for? And they say, well, I just want to see this all in writing. I'm like, all right, well, like, you got a paper and pen? I can have you write down right now. So I'll go that route because essentially I'm okay because like, I'm not going to do a full estimate. I'm just going to send a basic email. Hey, nice conversation. This was 10-8 for what we talked about. Oh, can you send this over? I've seen it in writing. Actually, it's on my website. Why don't you just go grab it there? So that's how I do that. But like, I would never do like a full breakdown. And if people, and we've had people say like, I'm a details person. And I'll say, well, I'm not a details person. Is that a deal breaker? Because they don't really want the details. They're not really going to like go out for you guys and like figure out like what's the best screw or, that kind of stuff. Like, they don't care about that stuff. They just want to get taken advantage of. And it's a lack of trust. That's all it really comes down to.
Either you don't trust the process, you don't trust the person, or you don't trust the process will work for them.
Well, how do you relate your process to a contractor? So if you have a homeowner being nitpicky and wanting the details, because I'm a details person, as not down to the screw, but I like to know what's going on. So how would you relate that to a contractor's perspective?
And can I ask that question real quick, or answer that, or not necessarily answer it, but ask a part of that question? Do you care more about the details, or do you have like a concern about being taken advantage of?
It fully depends on the situation, but to answer this specific question, it is details.
And when you say details, what details do you want to know?
Let's see, it was how long it would take. Basically just the overall details, how long it's going to take, how much do you think it's going to cost? I've never done a big project like this before, so I would have to experience it first for me to truly answer that question. But for like my car, for example, I want to know how many cylinders, I want to know tires, I want to know everything like that.
So when it comes to this for contracting work, First off, those are important details. I'm good with those details. Logan, I'm going to buy this from you. Like, how long is it going to take? How much is it going to cost? What can I expect? I'm good with that. But if you're like, I want you to break down the amount of hours that you think it's going to take you, Logan, I want you to break down what your cost is, and I want you to send all that over to me. Like, that's where I'm like, I'm not doing that. So the basic details, the overall details, I'm good with that stuff because that is just clarity around the whole process and the actual product that you're selling. What I'm not good with is, if you're a contractor, breaking down to like your material cost and how many man hours that's none of the, I mean, Tyler, you're a car guy. How long did it take somebody to assemble your car?
No clue. Pretty sure robots did it.
Yeah, we have no idea. Well, Tyler, why don't you break down the cost of electricity that the robot takes up for this car? So it's like, it's stuff like that. Like the people, they don't actually care about the details. They just want to know, like a lot of it's just clarity issues too. Like, it's going to take this long. This is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to operate. What are your thoughts? Oh, could you break that down? What do you want me to break down? Well, I just want to see how long what it's going to cost you and how long it's going to take you. Okay. Well, what are you hoping to gain from that information?
And you think that's the fear of being taken advantage of?
That's the fear of, yeah, because
or they don't trust the system's going to work. Like, and the thing is, what happens is we're all this is kind of sad. We're all taught to kind of lie during sales processes. Not necessarily lie in the sense of like having an outright lie, but you feel like you have to say certain stuff, right?
keep your cards close to your chest.
Exactly. Yeah. So, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to think about it. But if I went right now to a Lambo dealership, knowing good and damn well I'm not going to spend $700,000 on a car, it just doesn't make any sense for me right now. Like, if I went through the process with someone, oh, we just want to think about it. Like, if you go to Tiffany's and you're like, okay, well, hey, I'm looking at wedding rings, but if my budget is more, Diamonds Direct, and I go to Tiffany's and they say, oh, hey, it's going to cost $40,000 for a ring. You're like, oh, okay, I got you. Oh, yeah, we're going to think about it. Hey, I appreciate everything about it. I'm going to think about it. I'm not going to think about it. I know that I'm not going to spend I'm going to take my ass over to Diamonds Direct, spend $26,000 and be done with it because that's what I need to do for myself. So what happens is we're all taught this idea that we have to lie. We have to keep our cards close to our chest. We can't just be frank and upfront with someone. So, hey, you know what? We feel a little bit better. Because it doesn't feel great to know that you can't afford something. Right. It doesn't feel great to know that this is outside your budget, or it doesn't feel great to know that you are grossly under on what this stuff actually cost. Right? So we say, oh, we're going to think about it. And so there's this idea that when people say, I'm going to think about it, that they're truly thinking about it. And they're not. They're not thinking about it. What they're doing is they're now going to have a situation where they're kind of hoping that you just kind of forget about them. So you don't reach out to them anymore. So a detailed estimate, a detailed, breakdown of every single thing, that's not going to change their mind on anything. I don't truly believe that if you were trying to buy a car, if you were trying to buy a kitchen, if you were trying to buy an Apple phone, that the very nitty-gritty details would change your mind on if this thing is valuable to you or not and you're willing to spend the price. So if you feel like, hey, I'm going to draw the details out, well, once again, I'm manifesting people out there trying to value this stuff. Hey, this is what it costs. My materials are this is how much our labor is, and this is the overall cost for this X, Y, and Z. Oh, we want to know every single material. Well, to be honest with you, like, we don't do that. Just look at them. Like, if you got a process and you are doing what you're supposed to do, like, we just don't do that.
A lot of this whole break it down, a lot of stuff comes from you having a shitty brand as a contractor, right?
How important is your brand?
I mean, it's literally everything. Like, brand is everything. I mean, you can be a really bad salesman, but if you're in a strong brand, you're going to sell. It's like why the Kodak people used to crush it. But now that, it's no longer, the brand's no longer there, the need's no longer there, they're going to have to learn how to sell. So it's a whole different ball game. And a lot of it is you get frustrated with people because you're like, oh, like, check out these pictures of my work. And it's like, well, first off, you're either texting it to me or it's on a shitty website or it's on Facebook. Second off, you just took that like sideways. It's dark in that room. Like, damn well that the photos that you're taking don't do your work any justice. Like, the fact that if you're remodeling company or outdoor living space company or somebody that does work over $5,000, it is absurd that you don't have a professional photographer come out there and document this stuff at the end. Because, it's like, think about like whenever you guys present like a website that we've built to a contractor, 95% of people, their reaction is, oh, wow. And the other 5% is like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, because I've already seen these oh wow moments.
Yeah,
5,000
yeah,
times
like
before.
it happens all the time. So imagine if we were another company that just, if we built like a crappy looking website but said, oh, it's super effective, it doesn't have the wow factor. That's why when you see a supercar or a Lambo, it's like, oh my God, this is a sick car. But then you're turning around and trying to sell a really nice kitchen that you've built in the past by showing pictures to somebody, but the pictures look like you took it on like, one of those, like, it's like, I don't know, like a fucking flip phone. Like, it just doesn't work.
You're up against everybody. Like if you go to a freaking Disney website right now and you look at the packages, it's going to cost you $7,500 for 3 days to take your, for your kids to go to Disney World. Well, you're up against that. You're up against the Kia that out there who, costs $35,000. You're up against, the other stuff in the world. So if your $25,000 bathroom is up against someone spending $7,500 in Disney, and it doesn't even look as appealing, it doesn't even play to my emotion in the same way, how in the world can you ever expect that you're going to win out in someone's mind in buying that? It just doesn't make it. It's irresponsible to think that you can have a website that looks like some kid's home project or hey, I'm learning how to code. I'm learning how to put some stuff together. I hop on the website every once in a while though. I've gone on people's websites who made it themselves and the words are legitimately on top of each other. They've got legitimately different size fonts. Things are centered wrong. It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't look professional at all. And now you're expecting someone to trust in you enough to go against Disney, go against anyone else and actually spend some real money?
Tyler, do me a favor. You get your phone on you?
Mm-hmm.
Pull it out. And I want you to go to Disney World's website.
I'm going to do the same.
Okay? If you listen to this podcast and you're not driving, pull your phone out and I want you to pull up Disney World's website. Because let's think about Disney World. What does Disney World have? They have roller coasters. They have characters there. They have food. So let me know when you guys both have it pulled up.
So I typed in Disney.com. Where are you guys going to?
I just Googled Disney World.
Gotcha.
So is that what you have?
Yeah, that one. Yep, exactly. So go to Disney World. The top thing is like disneyworld.disney.go.com. But when you look at that, I'm just gonna, if you're watching this on, if you're listening to this in the car and you don't have it pulled up, Tyler, I want you just to walk through the images that they have here. So just a brief description of each picture that they have here. So the first one, which is the girl at the castle, start there.
So it's a very sunny day. You got the big castle in the background, and you see this little girl skipping around with some bubbles around the area.
Okay, next picture.
You have a dad giving his little girl a piggyback ride, both looking at each other, smiling, it looks like.
Okay, next one.
Next one, you have Beauty and the Beast made out of bushes.
Okay, next one.
You got a family laying in their bed, looks like the grandma, and one of the little girls is dressed as Tinkerbell. Then you have Star Wars. You got two kids holding lightsabers with the Falcon in the back.
Okay, and the last one right below it.
Last one, it looks like Avatar. You're flying. It looks like you're flying around the world of Avatar.
Who's flying?
You, the person who is at Disney World.
And that person looking at the avatar, what's their expression look like on their face?
They're smiling and they're just amazed because they're in a different world right now.
Okay. So when you go through these, if this was a contractor doing their own website and they worked for Disney World, it would just be a boring picture of a roller coaster. It would just have a grainy image of Cinderella just standing there by herself. It would have a picture of the food. And that's it.
Yeah, and it would say, we do so much great work.
Hey, we have been in business for 80 years now, right? We start off as a family-run business, and we treat your family like we treat our own family. The process of working with us or buying a ticket is first buy a ticket, And then from there, we will work together.
Yeah.
Like that's essentially, so when
If you want to have fun, come hang out with us.
correct. Like, and that's essentially what the difference is Disney's selling the experience of the family. Every picture, it was smiling kids with their grandparents.
And they were all the hero in that picture.
Exactly. So that's what Disney sells. And they're, a week-long family vacation at Disney is like $7,500, maybe $1,000. I'm sorry, $10,000. And then you think about what you're selling, which is a $25,000 bathroom, and it's the equivalent of somebody taking a picture of the shitter. That's like literally, and then you get mad that you're like, well, you just spent 10 grand at Disney World. Well, yeah, because look at the emotion between the father and the daughter when the daughter's sitting on the dad's shoulders and they're looking at each other, making eye contact, smiling, holding hands, compared to you taking a diagonal photo of a new toilet that you put in, and the caption is, check out this toilet. If you want this toilet in your home, call me.
Think about right now of you having a young sports memory, just whenever young sports memory comes to your mind. All right. And your parent is somehow involved. All right. Maybe they're driving you to this sporting event. Maybe they're your coach at some point in your life. Maybe they are, you had a great game and your dad took you out for pizza afterwards, or your mom brings oranges to the football game. Just think about that. Like, think about that memory. Think about how vivid you can see that. How you can doesn't matter how many years ago it was. You have an impression on your heart and your mind about what that is. Well, that's the stuff that you're building. You're building memories. All right. Go from sports and just go to your time in your kitchen. All right. Go to that time you think of, hey, when you had your friends over. Hey, before you traveled around the world, you had your friends over for your birthday. Were you able to get all your friends from college and high school and family friends, all those people in together just to be able to have a good time? Those are memories. It is crazy for us to not remember what we're actually doing. It is crazy for us not to recognize that, hey, that's what I'm selling. And if that's what I'm selling, I have to present it in that way. So take it from Disney. I mean, and I haven't done this, but go on Mercedes' website. I'm sure you're going to see the exact same thing. It's going to be the feeling of the situation. You go to Lexus' website, see the same feeling. You go to any other big brand, go to Apple. You're going to see people zooming around with their phones and showing how amazing their life is once they have a brand new iPhone. So if you are not selling like that, if you're not marketing that way, if you're not presenting yourself like that, you're out of the game. And you can't expect realistically for you to be successful. You can't. It's foolish. At that point, it's crazy. It's irresponsible to think, hey, I want to be successful doing this the complete wrong way.
That's going back to the beginning of the conversation. You have to have that salesman that can do that. Because even if you have a good website, I mean, Disney's obviously different. Disney does all the work. But if you have a good website where you have those professional photographers, you have to have that salesman that brings in that same emotion in order to close the deal, pretty much.
And think about how much easier it is, though, when it's already halfway done for you.
Exactly.
When it's already taking care of you in that sense. Because you didn't have to, like, people ask me all the time, how am I going to get somebody to talk about this kind of motive type stuff, this emotional stuff? Well, because you set the stage pretty early on.
And a lot of it realistically is just as most contractors, they work hard physically. They do nothing mentally to like progress themselves. So when they don't sit there and
what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is they don't sit there and understand how their product actually helps someone. They literally don't. I mean, most businesses don't. That's why do you think Starbucks does so well? Why do you think Starbucks can sell coffee for $5 when every other coffee shop still can't? Maybe some at this point, but they're more boutique. It's because Starbucks realized, hey, it's not just coffee, it's coffee and you're going to sit here all day and it's the experience. Dunkin' did the opposite. Dunkin' said, no, you're going to pop in, grab the coffee, pop out, and we're going to charge you $1.09 or whatever it is. So very different ways of doing things, but Starbucks actually sat there and thought about this stuff. We sit here and we think about this. People say that our stuff's too expensive. Great. What are some things that we can do to alleviate that? Can we offer financing? Can we figure out how this $5K tax credit works? right? That is what makes.
Can we build a system surrounding the website?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's actually like figuring out, it's problem solving. But most contractors and most small business owners, they don't actually want to spend the time to problem solve. It's so much easier to complain about why something's not working for 30 years and then you retire. So that's what most people end up doing.
Well, that's something I hear quite a lot. It's just like, I wasn't made or wasn't built to handle the marketing stage. My hands are built for building, so I want to just do the building, and I don't know anything about the marketing.
And there's two options at that point. Either one, hire somebody to do it. Actually, there's three. One, hire somebody to do it. Two, just realize that the second that you decided to go into business for yourself was the second that you cannot, you know, that you're no longer allowed to say, well, I don't want to deal with that stuff because I'm just good at building. Or the third thing is lose the company and go work for somebody else. Go build for somebody else, right? Most people start their businesses not realizing that your product is actually just like, you know, it's not the most important thing. It's actually everything else around the product that will promote it. This whole, you know, some people, I still see some older contractors that say, you don't need to market. If you do good stuff, people will hire you. Those are the people that don't actually make any money. Like it doesn't make sense. And you know us, if it doesn't make dollars,
it don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
Okay. So, and I know we got to get out of here pretty soon, but that same idea you just said, hey, my work sells itself. You know who still spends money on advertising and marketing? Coca-Cola. You know who still spends money on advertising? Mercedes. You know who still spends money? Like, it's crazy. Like Apple, like their work should freaking sell itself. By now, every single person who's ever going to listen to this knows exactly what an Apple iPhone is. Everyone does. If it was so simple of, oh, everybody just knows it, that sells itself. Well, the reason why they're able to scale and still be as successful as they are, because they recognize the business practices. They're business minded. And so if you are just going to be someone who is just working with their hands and not be business minded, then you can never expect to be successful.
Tyler, give us some parting words.
Parting words? Oh man. I'm just going to piggyback what Chris said. Like, you have to realize that there has to be that mind shift change. Like, if he was exactly right, Apple and Mercedes, they all still market, and that's why they're still doing really good. And so if you're a small company or even just really big one, I'm sure you're still marketing. And so it's just having to have that mind shift change to realize that and actually push it. I think that's what's going to help a lot of contractors.
And just to put a caveat on it, marketing is not paying Home Advisor to send you leads.
Oh yeah.
That's not marketing. That's just generating people that may or may not want to hire you. That doesn't build a brand, doesn't do anything else. It just gets some work in the door, but one class action lawsuit and they go down. Guess what? We're going to have a lot of people reaching out to us to say, hey, I need a bunch of leads. It's like, bro, you screwed yourself because you literally put all your eggs into one basket and now you have no brand. And the companies that have a brand are going to win all day long, regardless of if the economy's up or the economy's down. So guys, get your stuff together. Be smart when you're going after a salesman and understand that, like, you got to have your stuff together. You know, when you're going to hire a salesman, like, you can't just say, oh, I'm going to have my buddy come in. Like, it's a commitment. Because now your role is to make sure the sales guys are all set up.
Take action.
See you guys next time. Thank you very much.